Hi, Anthony.
Hi, Karen.
Thanks for being on the Karen Mitches podcast.
Thank you for having me.
This is Anthony Engelbrecht.
That's right. That is me.
How's your weekend going?
My weekend's been pretty good, uneventful up until this point. I get to be on this cool podcast.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. I saw you last night at Backroom.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was, it went well. I think it went well. The thing is I killed, right? But I never,
You're not allowed to say.
I never like saying it. So when people ask me, I'll never be like,
Okay, so I heard you killed last night.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, what's that like?
did you actually hear that I killed? Or
I did.
From me? Or like you heard it?
I hear things.
You got
I
your ear
hear
to the street?
I had friends who were there last night.
Yeah. So you were asking me to hear what I thought, but you already knew when you asked me.
I'm trying to get your perspective on it.
Oh, okay. So was it interesting then that I told you that I did all right, knowing that you heard that I did that kind of like, what did that do to like your head? Were you like, interesting?
Well, now I'm like, does he know and he's modest, or is it like some kind of dysmorphia where he doesn't?
You see, it creates a bit of a mystery, right? Because now you're wondering. That's why I asked. Like, does it create this bit of a conundrum? Because it's like, and you're hoping, you're anticipating that I'm going to say what you already expect. But like I completely said something else. And I'm like, what the hell? No, it's not a dysmorphia. I mean, I know when I do okay. I just, if I go around telling everybody, there was a comic I knew. He doesn't do comedy anymore. But anytime you asked him how he did on stage, he just went, buddy, I obliterated. I smash. And it's just like, dude, relax. You know what I mean? It's like, just say you did well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've never been one to be like that.
Modesty.
Yeah. I guess you could say it's being modest. I just, I don't know what to call it. So for lack of a better word, call it modesty, but I'm just,
That's just how you are.
it's just how I am.
That's cool. And you've been at the game a while, right?
Almost 12 years now. 12 years. Time flies.
Yeah. That's incredible. How has it changed for you over time?
It's not necessarily for me. I think the game's just changed, just in general, right? Like there's a high turnover. There's a lot of comedians that I started with back in the day that are not doing comedy anymore. And I guess because I've grown, I just don't look at comedy the same way, right? Like I think I found my voice, so I know the avenue that I need to go down in order to find the things that I need. I don't need to go to as many open mics, I find as well too, right? Like I figured it out. I figured out what I want to do, like where I want to go with it. So it's just changed. It's in terms of change, it's more like growth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like a growth kind of change. It's not like something that drastically happened. It's just naturally, if you've been doing it for a while, right, you're gonna start to develop. You're gonna evolve a little bit, and it just things become more into focus. It's all fuzzy in the beginning. You don't know what you're trying to say or who you're trying to say it to. Everything's very surface. All your humor, and you're just trying to make people laugh.
Yeah.
You're just trying to pop out as many jokes as you can.
And
right?
I take it that's something that came naturally to you?
Comedy came natural to me, but finding what I wanted to say took some time. So the thing is, being situationally funny and being like stage funny are two completely different things, right? You can take situational funniness, like, you could have just like that natural funny bone, but then to transfer that into a performative setting, it's like you got to figure out how to transfer that.
Yeah.
Right? Because everything has to be done in a format on stage. So you need to figure out the format, how you want to say it. Still keep the funny, but figure out how to put that in a format, right? It's like a script, if you're like a movie script.
Because on like a basic level,
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of just like goofing with your friends.
It's essentially exactly that. You see, once I started looking at it like that, it became easier. Like if I look at the audience, like my friends in a living room, if I can be as comfortable with the audience as I am with my friends in a living room, we're good.
And you seem like you always have that. Because I've seen you in a few different rooms and you're pretty fun off the get-go.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, I think I'm a pretty fun person. You know what though? People didn't like me when I first started doing comedy in Toronto because I was very arrogant. When you first start, I don't know. I felt like it was necessary to always be on as well too, like always like trying to be funny in moments that didn't require to be funny, kind of a thing. And I was doing that because I was trying to stay in practice. I'm like, I'm always practicing. I'm always on. If I'm always on, then I'm always going to be funny, type of thing. But people get annoyed with that kind of stuff, and I also did have this sense of arrogance where I was just like, I'm the best. You know what I'm saying? So that that got old fast. There's somewhere I was going with that. I think I lost my train of thought. I hope I didn't trail on.
No,
too
I
long
liked
there.
that point. So what were your early days like?
In terms of what? Just like
I guess it was here in Toronto.
yeah, my early days were here in Toronto. I started. I remember the first set I ever did. So I was hanging out with one of my buddies, and I was just like telling him a lot of jokes and stuff like that, and like I was killing him. Like he was literally like almost in tears. And at that moment, he was like, "I don't care what you say. We're finding an open mic, and we are getting you on stage tonight."
I love it.
And I'm like, "What am I gonna say?" He's like, "Buddy, just talk." He's like, "Just open your mouth." And we started scrolling through newspapers and shit, because this was still like back in like 2009, 10, so you could still do that, right? Like we didn't switch over completely to just like looking at things online, but we were scrolling through newspapers and online clippings and this and that, and then finally we found like this little back alley, like low key, like underground hole in the wall type of place, but they did open mics.
Amazing.
Yeah, and you always know when somebody's new to comedy, because there's a lot of people that'll come out to support them.
Yeah.
That is anybody who's new in comedy. It's when you have a lot of people that show up, it's indicative of somebody that's new, because once they get to know that that's what you're going to be doing, and for the amount of shows that you do, the amount of people that want to come out and see you decreases drastically to the point where it's just like they'll come support you, but they only want to come out to the big things. It's like, if you got something big, we'll come out to support you. If not, blah blah blah. But it was my first show, so I had like just an entourage of people behind me. And I walk in, and funny enough is I have a mixed group of friends, black and white, but on this occasion it was just with all my white friends. So there's this one black guy and this fucking entourage of white guys, and all these tough guys. I was like, yeah, I'm here to do comedy. Like, and I was rough around the edges too. Like, oh, dude, I was like, when I say rough around the edges, I mean like I was still very street.
Yeah.
And you could see it on me. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, here I am. When I talk, you get a different demeanor from me. But then by looking at me, you're like, oh, shit, you know? So, like, I show up and they're like, what do you want? I'm like, I'm here to do comedy. And they're like, okay, right? But I was there with so many people that they put me on last.
Because they wanted your
my
audience for everyone.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And I think they put me on like second to last. And once I got on, I was like, I'm going to leave. And they were like, dude, can you not leave? Because if you leave, that's the entire audience.
Yeah.
Right? So I learned a lot. There's a lot of little nuances on the comedy scene that people don't really talk about. I mean, nothing specific per se, but like, you know how like anything that you do, there's always like little nuances that don't generally get discussed. Like, you know, like the shirt you're wearing, you may know the basics, like, you know, the design, but how does the design happen? Where does it go? Like those little things, right? Like back in the day, the comedy community was very cliquey. I don't know if it's like that now.
No, because I hear from people who
super cliquey.
Who are like, yeah, it's gone now.
Super cliquey, and it was super toxic.
Ugh.
Oh man, they had the TSUC, the Toronto stand-up community. You never heard of TSUC?
No.
Oh my god! If you want a daily dose of toxic discussion and just absolute nonsense and banter, the Toronto stand-up community thread. There was a page,
like a message board.
Not a message. Yeah, I guess like you could say a message
yeah,
board.
okay.
But people like would post about shows, and then they'd post different ideas and thoughts. And the crazy part about it was primarily the open micers that were just like bickering amongst each other.
Yeah.
But every now and again, you get like a pro comic in there commenting on something. Like, for example, that thing that happened with that comedian Trix. You heard about that? That guy that was so he was a very well-known comedian. He's in the States now, but he was here, and he was doing some weird shit. Like he was we all found out he had a foot fetish.
Oh shit.
But he was preying on young, vulnerable, and impressionable comics that wanted to be close to him, and he'd be like, listen, I got this great idea for something that's coming up, you know, and I would love you to be a part of it. The only thing is we got to submit like a demo tape, and it's got to be of your feet. He's like, but don't worry, when it's all said and done, I'm going to give you an Xbox. So, you know, they would jump at the opportunity, and he would record their feet, right? and they wouldn't get the Xbox, right? So This one
Because he
comic
did that, and then at least
check it out. It wasn't even that he did that to like one or two people. So I guess eventually over time he had done it to enough people that this one comic posted in the TSA community. He was like, guys, he's like, did Trix ever give you guys that Xbox for filming his toes? He's like, if not, I think he has a foot fetish. Dude, that page fucking blew up from East to West Coast Toronto. I mean Canada. Because I'm telling you, he's a popular comic. I didn't even realize how far-reaching his popularity was in Canada until people started commenting in Newfoundland. He did it to me too. He did it to me. Like he was.
So he was filming their feet.
He was filming their feet, men's feet. He was recording their feet and taking pictures of it and shit. And then so I couldn't understand this because I'm from the streets. I'm from the hood. I'm like, I got mad. I'm like, why the fuck would you let a grown man record your feet? And they're like, it was gonna for an Xbox. I'm like, I don't care. It's weird.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go over to the guy's house and let him record my feet. There's something feels funny about this.
But isn't that the whole thing they say now is like we're taught to brush things off and like your social desire to normalize things and be chill?
I can't do that though, because I feel that I'm supposed to look at things objectively. I'm supposed to. That's why I have critical thinking skills, so that I don't just take everything as it is. Like that's like victim mentality. Not victim, but you're a victim. If you have that kind of mentality, then there's sharks out there that are gonna prey on you. If you're just gonna take everything on a passing by basis, okay, try that in jail.
But this.
Give me your food, okay. Give me your lunch, okay. You're a victim.
It's an interesting thing though, because I think about this, like I feel like something that was hard for me to accept about myself is I'm like a very trusting person. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to be thought of as naive, but I do tend to take people on face value and be open to things. Like I'm creative because and I collaborate easily with people because I'm like, yeah, man, let's try that. I'm not like, what does he want from me?
I feel you, and I'm the same way too. But we've been giving critical thinking skills for a reason. If it ain't sounding right, then you just got to make a couple of questions. You see, and that could be maybe the way you were brought up. Maybe you didn't see enough or experience enough that would lead you to have to develop those skills faster than other people, or you know what I mean? Like if you've been trusting.
I'm guessing you and I grew up a little bit differently.
I don't know. I can tell you a lot of stories about how I grew up. You could already tell I got stories to tell. So I don't know, how did you grow up? Did you grow up in the suburbs?
Yeah, so London, Ontario, both parents.
You're already winning.
Yeah.
You got me beat by like a lot. You're like, Dad, you had a dad? That's crazy. What was it like? That's so sad. I'm like, Yeah, no. So you grew up in London, Ontario?
Yes.
In the suburbs?
And then 2 parents, 3 siblings.
So there's 4 of you total?
Yeah.
Okay. And where do you place?
I'm the youngest.
Oh, wow.
And I was fortunate even just with my siblings, because I think a lot of people have nice parents, but they get preyed on by one of their siblings. But I had like sisters who were pretty like positive towards me. And my brother, I would say, like picked on me the amount that you want to get picked on. Like, so you know how to handle like irritating people, but like.
And he didn't overly pick on you to the point where you hate him either. Like, I'm sure you realize that it was all like in like you still loved you at the end of the day.
By the time, like once I was old enough to go to bars, like me and him were hanging out together with our like his group of friends and my group of friends merged together. So I was like partying with him all through my 20s, and now like I'm hanging out with his kids at the barbecues and stuff.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's like the life I've always wanted. Like that's the life I used to see on TV and be like, damn, for real? Yeah.
And you have, so it was you, your mom.
Yeah, so me, my mom, my brothers. I had 4 brothers, but one was shot. You see, we're starting to, yeah, he was killed back in 2012. It's all right. Did you do it? You apologize. So he got shot. But I mean, prior to that, my life's just been it's been interesting, I don't regret or would I ever change any of the experiences that I've had in life. I don't think I do believe that you can be anything you want, and it doesn't matter what your experiences are. If anything, those things are tools that allow you to be able to navigate in harsher environments because you've been through a lot of things, right? Like I don't think I've become an overly aggressive person based on anything that I've been through. And to be honest with you, living in Canada, life is really what you make it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
If you want to make something of yourself living in Canada, I don't know about now, the economy's gone to shit, but
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I'm talking in the mindset of like 10 years ago, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where everything was still okay.
I oftentimes have to have like a caveat because I'll say you don't need to be rich to survive. Except for currently right now.
Yeah. You always got to make sure like you specify. It's like everything you're talking about does not apply to this particular economy. We're thinking in the mindset of 5 to 10 years prior.
Okay, but you know how like ChatGPT was built with like data only from like up to 2 years ago? I feel like that's how like all my knowledge of the world is like just up to when the current market went to where it's gone to, and now I can't comment.
100%. As a matter of fact, I'm still reminiscent of a time that no longer exists. I'm still living in anything 2020 prior. 2020 and before is like, that's my cap. That's my cutoff. You know what I'm saying? I don't subscribe to anything 2001 going forward. I've checked out.
If you're living a 2019 life, like I got you covered.
Yeah, like anything, what you need, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? What you need, fashion, music, comedy, right? Social references. 2019, I got you, dog. You got anything in 2020? Nah, we don't got that, bro. We don't carry that in this story, you know what I'm saying? Because it was the last time I can remember that I was happy. You didn't even realize, you thought shit had gone to shit until 2020 hit. And then even after COVID left, you were like, something's a little je ne sais quoi. Something doesn't feel right. It needs a little salt. Something in the air just doesn't seem. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
yeah.
People are different. The energy is different. Everything feels strange. The days are going by faster. Well, I don't know what that eclipse was about. Okay? Don't even get me started. Are you a conspiracy theorist?
No.
Okay, because I was about to say, dude, we're going down a rabbit hole right now, but you're not, so.
Like I said, I'm high trust, so I get away from like conspiracy theories, but I am open to like supernatural shit.
You see,
so if you think something started that day, like I'll follow you as you explain it.
Yeah, but if you believe in the supernatural, isn't that kind of like that kind of goes with the whole your thought process? Like you're willing to believe stuff if someone tells you stuff. That kind of goes with that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, all right. I believe in supernatural stuff so much to the point that I don't watch horror movies. Yeah, because I believe that you can open yourself up for demonic possession, and I also believe that you can invite things into your house and in your environment by watching those kind of movies like The Conjuring, anything of a demonic nature. It's one thing to watch like those Thrasher films where like, you know, Jason's going through the city and killing people. That's one thing. But then when you start watching things that have to do with portals, demonic possession, anything of that nature, I don't watch that at all.
Yeah. Some of that stuff, I don't know. The Ring got to me a lot.
The Ring got to me as well. You see, I still, before I got into the thought process that I have right now, I was still watching things like The Ring. I think only up to maybe about 5 years ago, I realized that I shouldn't be watching these kind of things, you know?
Okay, but can you watch The Shining?
I can, but I won't. Again, that's like, that's a psychological thriller. It's like not psychological.
Yeah.
It's a bit psychological if you think about it, like the Red Rum.
Yeah.
Or like the twins that were murdered in the building. Like you shouldn't be watching that.
Sorry,
stuff.
I just watched it because, Duvall, what's the actress's name? I can't think of her, but the woman who starred in it passed away.
Right.
And so everyone was talking about it, and it's one of those classic movies I never saw.
Freaky.
So I finally sat down and watched it, and now I'm like, this is the greatest movie ever made.
In terms of...
And it's so weird, I waited forever. I thought because I knew too much about it from the culture that I wouldn't be able to get into it, but I was like, this movie is everything.
Well, what is it about it that you find that makes you say that?
It's like...
Is it the right amount of terror? Is that what you're saying? Or is it the writing? Is it the gore factor? Is it like, what is it about it
It's like the approach that they took. Okay, so it's really beautiful because it's a Kubrick film.
Yeah.
So it just...
Love Kubrick's movies.
Yeah, like you're drawn into it. It's magical. But then it's kind of dealing with this domestic violence situation, but giving it a supernatural angle to it. And so you're seeing this man who's like falling apart, but he probably, or maybe he was already like violent, and then he takes his family to this magical place, and it goes
Maybe I missed that.
Horrifying.
Was he violent to his wife prior to going
Yeah,
crazy?
because they say she tells the one woman in the story that the son dislocated his shoulder earlier that year, but she makes it out like, oh, it's just an isolated incident, and my husband isn't drinking anymore because of it. So you get that like it was already there,
right,
and then you see it like become not just a bigger problem, but a supernatural level problem.
Yeah, no, for real. You know what I didn't get though? Remember the woman in the pool, in the bathtub?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was freaky. What was that all about?
Oh shit.
I just remember making my brother watch it, and because he said that he can watch horror movies. He's like in his 30s now, but I remember when he was like 11 or 12 and we were watching it, and I remember that woman coming out of the bathtub and she was laughing and she's like, ha 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 ha, and my brother was like watching it. He's like, turn it off. That's pretty freaky.
Yeah, well, no, it's the most, because it starts out, there's like, he creeps into the room and there's the sexiest woman in the bathtub. She stands up, so it's arousing.
Before she stood up, she kind of looked back at him while in the bathtub. There was a scene where like, I remember like she kind of looked at him while still sitting. No, am I wrong?
Okay, we'd have to watch it for me to get right the moment.
Yeah.
But I thought it was the fact like it mixes because it's titillating and then it's repulsive. So it's like taking one of your instincts and then the opposite instinct and like smashing them together. So it's like very upsetting.
You see, I said I wasn't going to watch horror movies anymore, and now you're making me consider going back and rewatching it because I feel like
we can watch it on my Netflix.
You want to watch it after?
Yeah.
Because I'm starting to think that like maybe sometimes you have to watch something older as an older person in order to get everything, because there's been a lot of movies and TV shows that I went and rewatched and I was like, I missed that when I was a kid. It's like, yo, did anybody pick up on that?
Okay, so there's this point in the movie where he walks past this room and there's like a guy in a suit and then another man in like a furry costume, and he's got like a cutout around his butt, and it's like he kind of just looks in the door and sees these two who look like they're doing something, and it's made in 1980, but it looks like even farther back in the 70s. And I was like, did they have furries back then?
I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe they just called it something different. I mean, they had MDMA, what we call ecstasy today. They've been doing MDMA since Studio 54. Since before,
which was 70s or 60s?
Which was I think Studio 54 was like 70s, 80s,
yeah,
early 80s, yeah. So since then, they were doing MDMA. They were doing E from then. They were just calling it something else.
Yeah.
Right? So I wouldn't be surprised if they had that. Maybe they weren't calling it furries. Right? I mean, it's possible.
Yeah. I mean, the history that we don't have yet is important.
I mean, you know what's crazy about history and people from then is that I don't think people underestimate what was really going on back in the day. Like, people think of here and now. And I always try to tell my daughter, I'm like, and I always try to explain to her going through life that never think that her problem and my problems are completely different in terms of, like, people are the same. Like,
yes,
the things that people were going through now, people were going through then, people are going through now. And I explained that to her. I'm like, look, the music might change, the fashion might change, but people are people.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but there's a weird thing where you think your parents don't know about certain things, or your grandparents, or everything was really conservative in the past, but
it was still, people are still people at the end of the day, right? Like, even going back as far as like the Queen of Sheba, like she was like cheating, or like she like went and had sex with some guy and brought the kid back to like her. Like, I was like, damn, like, they're fucking around in ancient Babylonia.
There's this book that I haven't actually read, but a lot of people talk about it, and it's called the Decameron, and it's written by a guy in like 1400s Italy, and it's just like a collection of stories. But when you read it, and there's a comedy movie called The Little Hours that's based on one of those stories, and it just has like a lot of sex, orgies, like reveling under the moon, and you're just like, oh, I thought in olden times people were fucking innocent.
Yeah.
But they were not. They were worshiping the devil. They were like having an orgy.
Yeah, no, that's whatever we think we thought we knew, it wasn't like that. Like, you know, maybe the values were definitely different, and I think that the things that are more openly accepted now were more frowned upon, but shit was still going down.
I think there's like different like pockets of like regressive, or people get very conservative in certain decades, and then more open, and it goes like up and down.
You think it goes up and down?
We tend to look backwards and think it's just been safer and more controlled.
Mm-hmm. Like I always wonder what it was like for gay people back in the day. That's one thing I always wonder, like back in like the 1800s, because there's always been gay people.
Yeah.
So it's like how was it for them? Obviously, it wasn't as widely accepted then as it is now. But once again, there's pockets of people, and then I wonder, how do you even find out that somebody else is like you?
And there's like weird things from history where you'll get like, oh, some woman who lived as a man back, and you're like, but what?
Yeah,
How'd she
like,
get away with that?
yeah.
Or like dandies
Yeah.
because you'll see like, is it like Turing, the scientist who like around World War II was like arrested for crimes of homosexuality, or like after the war. But then you have other guys in England in like the 1800s who were like just out in the streets being dandy or
Yeah.
whatever. So
Yeah.
how was it more open and then not?
You know, these are the kind of things that I ask myself. Like, is it because you called it something different? Were they lying to themselves and saying that it wasn't what we think it is? Or, you know what I mean? Like, maybe
Yeah.
there was different ways that people approached it, kind of. They said, he's just, he's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's just charismatic. You know, he's a dandy dapper or some shit like that. It's like, no, he's gay. Like, dude, he's gay. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe, I don't know. I always wonder that kind of stuff, but I just know that history is very interesting to me. But I believe in a lot of weird things pertaining to history too. I don't know if you want to hear my thoughts.
Because you're gonna go into a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Okay, but do you have a fun one?
Are they ever fun? Knowledge can be fun.
Okay.
But it's like once you know, you can't unknow. So I'm sorry if you're not ready to go down that rabbit hole. Just it's not even
Okay, give me
worth it.
one.
We are not a new civilization. We are new, but there was a civilization that existed before us that was here on this planet.
How far back?
Well, they say that everything we think we know about history going back to anything BC going forward.
Yeah.
What we think we know, that all of that's being rewritten.
So like before the pyramids.
No, well, the pyramids they're dated for 5,000 years, but they're much older than 5,000.
So they're part of the original civilization.
They're actually maybe even before the civilization that I'm talking about.
Oh,
They're
shit.
saying that there was a civilization of people that existed with advanced technology. So, you know, they say they didn't discover electricity until coming close to the early 1900s.
Yeah.
But they're saying that electricity has been around for a long time, and it's been powering things, and we actually have technology. They're saying, apparently, that there's technology that's existed that we still can't replicate to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing I believe. I think that there was something that was here before us, because look at all the things that have been constructed that can't be replicated.
And we do
this
know there's other periods of like political collapse. And there's things like the ancient Greeks told a story about the Trojans, which for many years was believed that Troy was a myth. And then they found Troy and they were like, oh, actually during the Bronze Age, there was a civilization that then they lost political sophistication, and then they got the ancients. But yeah. So why couldn't we have also lost another civilization?
Yeah, but you see, look, at least they admitted once they found the details pertaining to Troy, they were like, okay, cool. So we found out that it's true, but I don't think nobody will ever like fess up to what the ancient civilizations were, because then you have to concede a lot of points, right? It's like, who are we? What are we doing here? And I think it messes with the control system of where the uppers are trying to go with society, I think. So if they start telling us about that stuff, people are going to have more questions, and they probably aren't ready to give those kind of answers. So they just keep on like covering it. We don't have, trust me, you know, like, because it's gonna, you know what I mean? We don't gotta like get deep on it. But yeah, no, I'm a bit of a conspiracy nut, like vaccinations and stuff like that. I know you got vaccinated. What'd you say? You were like, yeah, you kind of go with the flow, like you believe things.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, I can't.
I always think, like, even though I'm not that way, that it's like there's a reason why some people are. It's like a society has to have different kinds of people, and it has to have high trust people, but it has to have some low trust people, and people who see.
Isn't it interesting,
or
though,
question or deny?
Right, but isn't it interesting how everybody and those differences got highlighted once COVID happened? You started to realize the kind of person that you were. You start to see who's who, right? Like the kind of person that you are. So the person you're saying that you're trusting and whatever the case is, that's highlighted with you taking the vaccination. Whereas I'm not a very trusting person, and I need a lot more detail and information before I rush to make a decision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So those kinds of things are highlighted. So it's like,
Yeah. And I don't know. It's interesting because I think it did make me more compassionate towards certain people, because I was able to see like some of the most like sensitive, artistic, like brilliant people that I know like really struggled in that space. And then I'm like, if you have a culture that's like, everybody pick up your fucking feet and do what we're doing, like get on the agenda, like who you lose is some of your most important people.
Explain what you mean by that.
Like, if you have a culture that is oriented specifically towards like the middle, and it's just like everybody's got to do it.
Everybody's got to
right?
move in the same direction. Like,
then
you got to do it.
You might say, like, you can look at people who are refusing to go along and pinpoint some of them and be like, well, that guy, he's antisocial, and that guy never tried anyway. But within that group, there's some of the more sensitive, like creative, like people who bring something that other people don't have. Mm-hmm. So if you're only having a culture that respects the middle, you lose those vibrant, special people in the tails.
Sounds like Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah. You like in Russia, it's funny that they were actually talking about that, because Russians and the way that they are, they don't foster an environment. Well, I don't know about now, but I know there was a point where it's like, you weren't really fostering like the arts and like the creative, allowing you to just be the way that the society is here, where just be who you want and be how you want to be and free. It's necessary to have that in order to create art and beauty, and you know what I'm saying? Because if you have too many people thinking in a militaristic mindset, then everything is going to be of a militaristic mindset, right? But everybody brings something special to the table, and I think maybe now Russia's more open to that, but there was a point, especially during the Soviet Union, where it was like, no, this is how it's going to be. Yeah, that's just the way it is. So you lose a lot of that. Of those vibrant people, like,
I think it was coming back after the Soviet Union fell, but now you're seeing again like political repression, because people, if you say anything about the government, right, they'll come after you, and then that makes everyone afraid. And but that's political repression, right? Like you can still be who you are. I think I don't know what Russia's all about, but I feel like it's not as liberal here. Like, it's more of a, I don't even know if I want to call it a conservative society, but there's definitely, Russia's different. There is.
Like, look at their cars. Like, you can just see that, like, they're just, you know what I mean? They're all of one.
Okay, but it's weird though, because it's like, they're also like repressing gay people right now, but sometimes within a period of regression, then you have countercultures that are going on that are very vibrant and interesting.
100%. But did you see
for a terrible reason?
Yeah. There's a lot of countercultures in Russia, but they're like openly assaulted. Like, nobody's coming to their rescue. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we can have the LGBT and they're allowed to be who they want to be. And, there's people that will support them, government included. Over there, if you are the victim of a hate crime pertaining to certain things, you're on your own. I seen something where there was these women that were protesting something, and they were in like these ballerina tutus, and dudes just straight up came out of nowhere and started beating them. Like, just fucking hitting them with clubs and shit like that. Yeah, and that was that.
Jesus Christ.
That was that.
Yeah.
Just like pow.
You have no recourse.
There's no recourse. There's either you stop what you're doing or you get beat the fuck up. Yeah, Russia is terrifying.
Yeah.
Right? Now, it makes me wonder though about China. Is China the same way?
Yeah, China's fucked up. Because I have a friend who's from China, and he was saying like, you know how we use WhatsApp? Mm-hmm. Like, he talks to his Chinese friends back home on something like that, but he doesn't say certain things, like, because you're like,
they're listening.
They're flagging for it.
100%.
And there's just, you keep your head down, you make money. And even away from the country.
Yeah.
Like,
they have agents that they send from other countries, from China, to police the things that people say in other countries. Yeah. Which is crazy to me, that they can have any kind of like spy organization operating in a different country. And I think our government knows about that kind of stuff.
Well, I think It's definitely come to the fore now.
Yeah.
But I think for many years, if you'd said anything, you'd sound like a nut. But then people proved it, and now it's known, and they've like.
Yeah, and that's sad too, man. Because
That's terrifying.
It's
because
terrifying.
It's terrifying enough if your government is against you, but then when you get away, you're in America or Canada, you're in the land of the free, and they're fucking there.
They're
like
still
that's
there.
a horror movie.
Yeah. And if they don't kidnap you, they'll just they'll just like hurt your family.
Yeah.
So it's like even with that, no matter where you go, there you are. That's crazy.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Man, but you got to admit, man, you got to applaud China's work ethic, though, right? I mean, damn, bro, like they're like, damn.
Well,
you gotta love
I'm really
that.
big on like mass transit, and they've built all these high speed trains, and they don't have it costs us so much money when we want to do that because we have to like buy up land and like I don't know get our. And they just do it, and it happens like that.
Yeah, I mean, shit. I mean, communism aside, man, you got to hand it to China, man. There's some hardworking people. Chinese people are some hardworking people, and they're some of the most brilliant minds I've ever seen in my life.
And if you think about how much Canada benefits just from getting all these Chinese people who show up here because it's too rough over there.
Here, let me just show you how well China's doing. Just by so I'm a bricklayer by trade, right?
Yeah.
And I remember there was a comedian that came to work with me one time, and he seen a Chinese guy laying bricks on another house, and he was like, "What the fuck is that guy doing?" I'm like, "He's laying bricks." He's like, "His parents aren't proud of him, bro." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "That's how." He's like, that guy should be a fucking lawyer or a doctor, or he should be a civil engineer, or he should be this. The fact, to me, I think bricklaying is an honorable trade.
Yeah, for sure.
For Chinese, that guy should be doing something major, because I just have that expectation. They're doing so well that I just, so it's like, what are you doing here with us? You should be like, an engineer. Does that sound rude? Does that sound rude? Am I stereotyping?
No.
Okay, good. I don't know how sensitive. I don't know. I don't know what's. I'm just an old man that's afraid to talk anymore because I don't know what I'm saying is gonna be. But at the same time, here's the thing. Here's the clash. Is I'm an old man who doesn't give a fuck what he says, but I live in a society where you have to watch what you say. Right? Whereas before I could be an old man where they're just like, he's a little racist.
He's an old man.
He's just an old man. He's a little racist, but we love him.
There's this comedian that I like called Robbie Hoffman, and she was talking about
Robbie Hoffman.
She was talking about Dave Chappelle, and she goes, "Can't we enjoy old people anymore?"
Why?
Just like the idea that like no one expects Chappelle, or in olden times, like people wouldn't expect Chappelle to be up on like what 20-year-olds get about the world. Like they just be like, oh yeah, he's older, he's from his generation, like, and we still like love him because he like created the scene that we're. Like,
that's what I'm talking about. That's how I feel, but I don't know. Even my daughter, she's 18. I can't tell you, she is like the political correctness police to the point where I'm just like, we literally got into a fight about it the other day. I was just like, bro. This is me. Like, if you keep, like, just don't talk to me then. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
but this is the thing. Like, I love watching my friends deal with their children because it's like, I don't want to say it's retribution, but it kind of is. It's like, it's something pure where like a part of you now exists in like the new world, and it comes back and looks at you.
Yeah, I know. My mom said that to me because my daughter's really good. Like, she graduated from high school. She's done everything she's supposed to. She went and got herself baptized. Not even with an audience. She's like, I'm like, why didn't you tell me? She's like, Dad, this is a personal relationship between me and God. I don't want an audience there. And I'm like, right? She's dating a nice boy, a Filipino.
Oh.
Right? Not a Toronto man. And he's also in church as well too, right?
That's so sweet.
It is sweet. I'm really happy for her. And I was talking to my mom about
I like that the church girls are PC.
It's crazy. I didn't even think she would be a church girl. Like, man, I'm telling you, like, here, I'm going to explain something to you about, like, the importance of something in a second. But what was I just saying? I was saying...
Your mom and your daughter.
My mom. So she goes, so I'm telling my mom about all the accomplishments of my daughter. And she's like, my mom smokes weed. And she's like, yeah, I'm happy. I'm like, you don't look happy. She's like, I'm actually not. She's like, why? She's like, well, I'm happy for my grandchild, but she's like, I wish that she could have given you a little bit of what you gave me.
Oh.
She's like, I just wanted to see a little bit. I didn't get it. She always prayed it too. When we were younger, my mom would always say, I wish you get a child that is exactly like you. And my daughter is like me, but she's just not bad. She's not a bad kid. I was a bad kid. I was a really bad kid. I got in trouble a lot. I was bad. I was really bad. Like, I was suspended. I spent more time at home than, at school. And then once I turned like 15, 16, I was in and out of jail. I was always in and out of jail.
Did you have a little kerfuffle recently?
Yeah.
Will you tell me about that?
I won't tell you what the charge is, but yeah, I ended up in jail again.
How did that go?
Better than I thought it would be, because I haven't been in trouble with the law in 20 plus years, right? So I consider myself to be old, and to a 20-year-old, I am old.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't know the dynamics or the street lingo or even the signs of what it is anymore. I'm not hip like that.
Yeah.
Right? And plus, young people don't say words like hip.
Yeah.
Right?
There's something, it's just like, to be old, you just have to be a certain amount of years into your 30s, and you realize you're one of the adults, and you feel disconnected from, like,
I think the second
your values as a younger person.
I completely agree with you. Once your values shift, like, your priorities, and you just disconnect with pop culture, I think that's when it starts. When you just start caring too, or what I'm saying? You don't really care about what you're wearing, the fashion. Like, you're just like, fuck it, I don't care about nothing anymore. And that being said, when I was in there, it's all young people. So my whole thing was, listen, young bucks, leave me the fuck alone.
So your situation was a bit more of a fluke. Like, it's not, you're not back into trouble.
No, I'm not back in trouble. So when I was getting in trouble back in the days, it was because I was going to jail for, like, drug possession and like gang affiliated nonsense, like stupid shit.
Yeah.
No, this is just a one-off situation.
But you got to run into some of, like, the older version or younger versions of what you used to be. Yeah,
but the thing is like, I came in different. I'm bigger now. I'm not afraid of anybody anymore, and also too, you can see in my face that I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody. So with that being said, people sense that energy and they'll leave you alone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't really analyzing to see who was like me, nor was I looking to mentor anybody. Yeah. I was just more like, leave me the fuck alone.
Okay.
Like, you guys do what you do. I'm over here. That's it. And if we have a problem, we'll figure it out. But that's the kind of attitude I came in there with. I was not afraid. I was very mad that I was in there, and I was willing to do whatever was necessary. That's how I felt when I was in there. And they were like, oh, sometimes people don't let you use the phones. And I said to myself, if somebody doesn't let me use the phone, I'm going to rip it out of the fucking socket. I said that. I meant it. I was going to do it. I was just like, if I can't use the phone, nobody's using the phone. I'm not kidding you. I'm like, I was so ready for anything. I don't care. Do whatever you guys want to do. I am fine, because in my head, he thought I was going to say something a little more clever than that, didn't you?
I thought you were going to take a grown-up perspective. I'm going to stay level. I'm going to hold my temper. And
oh, no. No. When people get low, I take that shit to the ground. Oh, they call me Petty Wap. Don't play with me, man. I'm in jail. I'm locked up, right? The song comes out, you're like, ah! Fuck, man, it's real out here in these streets. But yeah, I was in there, and that was interesting. And then I got out. So you know what's crazy? Is that I couldn't get bail. For some reason, there was nobody there to bail me out, and they wouldn't let me out on my own recognizance. And I remember calling my friend daily and being like, I don't think I'm going to get out of here.
Fuck.
Right? And he was like, I don't know. We'll see what we can do. And I was like, whatever. If you can do something, you can. If you can't, you can't, kind of a situation. I don't know who's going to see this after I tell you. He just, but I hope it goes to the right people and not the person working my case. I hope it sure airs after the statute of limitation. But anyways, so So everything is video court now. So when I was going to jail back in the day, you literally had to wake up in the morning time and they would shackle you together and they would put you in a paddy wagon and they would usher you over to the courthouse, right? And then you would stay there all day and then they would usher you back. Everything is video done right from the jail.
Oh.
Right? So you go right from your cell, right to the video booth. From there, back to your cell, right? And it was shitty in there because it was like fucking 23 and a half hours lockup. It sucked. It fucking sucked because you were on the intake range, right? So they're trying to classify you. They don't know where they're going to put you yet. So I'm just sitting in my cell every day for like fucking all day.
Were you panicking or like?
No, I was mad and I was hungry and I didn't know what to do with myself anymore. I like to eat.
Yeah. How do you maintain in that?
You sleep. And masturbate. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Like, what do you want me to do when in doubt, right? Like,
you gotta tell me. You gotta tell us honestly.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Well, that's like how do I masturbate? Not really per se like that. I don't think about prison when I'm trying to get off. What do you mean? What are you asking me? No, but so anyway, so I go to the video call, and there's the Crown, the prosecutor. There's the duty counsel, which is my court-appointed lawyer, and then there's the judge. There's somebody else there. I don't know who this person is. So they're like, okay, so it seems like there's somebody here to bail Anthony out. There is? I'm like, what? So they're like, who are you, sir? What's your name? He gives his name. They're like, how long you known this guy? He's like, 10 years. I'm like, okay. Right? Listen, you got to understand, when you're in jail, if there's somebody that's willing to get you out, you're not asking any fucking questions.
You're like, I know this guy.
And the person's just like, yup. And they're like, are you agreeable to this? I'm like, oh, yeah, Your Honor. Oh, we're good. Right? So I get processed. I get my shit. And before I get out, I didn't have my phone. Police took my phone. I wanted to make a phone call. So I called my boy. Before he even said hello, I'm like, hello? He's like, you like that, don't you? Yo! He fucking hooked it up! He fucking hooked it up! That's my boy!
Oh my God.
Dog.
I love it.
Talk about friends.
Yes.
Know the people that you're hanging out with. He fucking hooked it the fuck up. And I got out. It turns out I did know the guy, but I didn't know him like that. But he got me out and everything was good. So there's that. And then I was talking about something about, I put a pin in something else I was going to say. Was it masturbating, jail?
Your daughter.
No. It was
generational.
No, it was literally
getting processed.
Getting processed. I don't remember. It's gone. That's it.
Being old at jail.
That's it. It's
okay.
over. It's gone.
We got it. We got everything we needed.
Did we? Run from
so
the
is it still going on?
Yeah, the case is still ongoing. That's why I don't really want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's also embarrassing what the situation is too. It's just that at my age, I just can't see why I would be in these kind of situations. It's very depressing in its own way. Like, fuck. The thing is I get fucked up sometimes, and just life just, I don't know. So back in the day, I used to do a lot of coke.
Yeah.
Sometimes I still do a lot of coke. But the point I'm trying to make is that it can just take you on a wild ride. You know, the night starts here.
Yeah.
And then it just fucking
goes.
3 days later, you don't even know what the fuck is going on. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't do anything wrong, but I'm just saying that there's always, it's just, I don't like, when you sober up, good or bad, you feel shitty. Because you feel like you would have made different decisions if you were sober.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, whether you did something wrong or not, and you ended up in a bad situation, you can't help but factor in the fact that substances must have played a part, because if they weren't there, something would have been different.
Yeah.
You would have listened to your intuition a little more. You would have done something a little differently. Just, you know, you would have zigged instead of zagging.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Well, you're safe.
I'm safe.
Right?
That's the important thing.
So you got a new challenge, but you're gonna crush it.
100%. And then I got out, and then SWAT kicked my door in.
Unrelated.
Yeah. Unrelated.
Oh my God.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like a week later.
For what?
My brother.
Oh God.
Yeah. You want to hear that story?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So my brother must have gotten into a fight with a girl that said he had a gun. Yeah. And I remember my brother coming home after fighting with the girl the day after, and he's just like, fuck, I know the police are coming for me. I'm like, they're not coming for you, dude. I'm like, he's like, they're coming. She said she's going to call the cops. I'm like, listen, dude, if the cops were coming, they would have kicked the door in. They would have did all this shit. They would have had us all on the floor. They'd have lasers in our fucking backs. He's like, you're right. I'm like, thank you. So the next day,
they kicked the door in. They had lasers on your fucking back.
I see you know the story. I don't gotta tell you. Yeah, so me and my brother have been drinking all night that night, and we're having a good time. We wake up. My mom wakes up. She's like, you guys are always drinking. We're all laughing, having a good time. We're good. Right? My mom's like, man, y'all niggas is crazy. I'm going downstairs to check on my plants. You see, my mom's a gangster, but she's also a botanist, right? Is that what they call a plant person?
Yeah.
Thank God I got that right. So she's like, I'm going to check on my plants. She opens the door here. Don't fucking move! Don't you fucking move! And my mom is a mouthpiece, but when I saw my mom freeze up and put her hands up, because when she opened the door, like I was standing behind it, so I was seeing my mom, and I just seen her go like this, and she just started walking out of the house. And I knew right away what the fuck it was. Then they put this big fucking like sideways mirror in, and they called my brother by name. And they're just like, Michael, you know, I don't say his name. He's like, yeah, he's like, get on your fucking belly and crawl to us with your elbows. And my brother was like, let's say my brother was over there and he was crawling to the door. So again, I can't see them yet. Because because the door's in the way, and I'm just seeing the instructions. But my brother crawls into focus, and there's just pure fucking red dots all over his fucking back. And I just said, "Don't fucking kill my brother!" Right? Bro, I almost cried when I seen that. I'm just like,
because you already lost.
I already lost a brother. Oh, it makes me like teary-eyed to think about, because I'm just like, I couldn't.
Oh my God.
It's very scary. It's very scary. You get it? You're like tearing up. I love that you're compassionate about it, but I was very sad. I really was, And then they took my brother, and then they're like, anybody else come to the door. So then every one of us just fucking one Engelbrecht after the other, bro, including my mom, all fucking cuffed. And we're all sitting out there, and my mom's just talking shit. Fuck you coming up in my fucking house. My brother, fuck you, motherfucker. I'm drunk, and I'm just like, yo, chill. Yo, ma, chill. And then my brother, he got arrested, and they took him, got him up on a slew of charges. They went in, ransacked the house, flipped it over, looking for weapons, found nothing. And they found nothing, but they still took him. I don't know. Yeah. This summer's been eventful.
Yeah.
And that was all in the month of June.
That was just June. But you've been chill for all of July.
Yeah, I'm not a troublemaker. I'm not a troublemaker per se. Just unfortunate circumstances. It's just interesting to note. If this happened to me on a regular basis, I wouldn't even have brought it up. You know what I'm saying? It's just like
you got under control, and now you've had this kind of flare up, so it's a bit different. It's more like,
it is different, and I'll have a lot more people supporting me because I don't get in trouble like I used to.
Yeah.
If you're getting in trouble all the time, people are just like, dude, this guy is, it's constant, right?
Yeah.
But people see you're trying to do better. They see you're trying to better yourself and make something of yourself. People are more inclined to want to help you, when you look at it like that.
Do you think like the comedy helps?
Comedy is therapeutic for me. Aside from knowing that I should probably be further along, it really hurts to know that I should. To be honest with you, it really hurts.
Yeah.
When I think about why.
Because that is the thing people in the scene say, like, because you're so good.
Yeah.
And it's like,
you've heard people say that?
Oh yeah, it's the thing people say about you. Like, you should already have made it.
Damn, that hurts because I know it.
But the thing is, like, you have people know that about you, and you have a lot of people on your side. So I think the step from here to the next thing is gonna be swift.
Yeah, 100%. But put a pin in that. What were we just saying prior to that? I want to finish answering that because we're just
sorry, just about this being a flare up.
No, you
or
said something after
the
that.
comedy.
Comedy, therapy. Yeah, it's the comedy. It's helpful. You know the thing about comedy that I find that I love, it's that something might not be funny when it's happening to you. It's like you start thinking about it or talking about it after, and it somehow becomes like it's funny after.
Yeah,
you know?
And you get to take something that was just like, because I'm doing that now because I quit drinking a number of years ago, and I felt like I was like, I don't need to touch on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, not every comedian has to tell their rehab story, but I was like, oh, I'll tell rehab because I met fun, good people in there, and I want to tell people rehab was a good place. But then I ended up inadvertently telling some humiliating things that I did at the end of my drinking, which I thought, oh, I don't need to do that. A lot of the time when people do that, it's just to get attention, and I'm not that kind of person.
Agreed.
But then I said some things out loud on stage that I used to be so humiliated by, and then I got to share them with a group. Like, I never said them to anyone, and then I got to share them with a group of people and laugh. And then I was like, this is fun, because now that thing, maybe like it happened for a reason.
You feel like almost vindicated or like liberated?
Yeah, like it's like the memory is washed off, and it, like, I don't have to, like, it, you know, like bad memories can come to you throughout the day, and then you're just like, oh, why was I a piece of shit? But if you find humor in it, then it can't hurt you anymore.
That's another thing too. If you say it before somebody else says it, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you address it first, like, it's like you maintain the power. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're doing it on your own terms type of thing. It's like, you can't hurt me if I'm saying it before you kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With that being said, I think that's definitely indicative of growth as well too, right? Like, when you feel like it's something that you can openly talk about and you don't feel like there's any stigma attached to it. But it's hard that first time. There's been so many things that I've spoken about on stage. I'm so happy. Like, when I think about my growth as a comic, I don't just equate it to my material or my ability to convey my thoughts. It's also, well, it is my ability to convey my thoughts, but not, when I think of conveying, I'm thinking about just being able to articulate my thoughts out loud. But it's more than that. It's about talking about things that you know, they make you extremely vulnerable, and you're not sure how people are gonna take you, right? Like, when you get to a point where you're cool with it all, like, it doesn't matter. It's like, you cannot hurt me, right? I feel like you're elevating above the rest, kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I'll say anything I want, and I'll feel and the audience, and that's the crazy thing. It's the energy in comedy. It's so reciprocal, right? So if you're authentic, people feel it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you, like, there's been times where I've connected with the audience on such a level where I feel their energy. I feel it. We are linked.
Yeah.
We're in there. You know, they are strapped in for this fucking ride. That happened when I did a storytelling show, because you said I'm a storyteller. I finally did the kind of comedy that I wanted, and it wasn't comedy. I told a 3-part story about my life. So it was called The 3 Summers of Madness, where I talked about the 3 summers consecutively. So 16, 17, and 18. These were the 3 summers that defined me as an adult. And it was like sex, murder, and mayhem. Not murder, but mayhem. No, sex, murder, mayhem. I heard a rapper say that, so I thought that, but I'm like, no, let's not add murder in there.
But death?
No, nobody died. Definitely, there was a lot of guns pulled on people. There was some crack selling. There was a lot of sex. I had a lot of sex, right? Yeah, there's a lot of that. It's crazy how much sex I used to have when I was younger. When I think about it. No, really, but it was weird, because you wouldn't think a kid would have so much riz. I really thought I knew it all because I was doing so much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I could tell you some stories. I'm not sure if we want to get into that, but I could tell you some crazy stories.
Okay. I'm just curious about, so you did a storytelling thing, but it was not comedy. And
it wasn't comedy, but the thing is the way that I tell stories naturally is I always make it funny.
Yeah.
Right? That's just who I am. So in the midst of me telling the story, it was literally a roller coaster. So there would be moments where it's serious.
Yeah.
And then fucking I make it funny. It's like, but it's serious. But that's fucking hilarious. But now we're for real. Because I would highlight certain points of it that I need to emphasize that this was not funny.
Yeah.
That when it was happening, it was not funny. I was mad. I was frustrated. I was this. I was that. you know, but then I would also I would bring back something that somebody had said, and then that idiot came back and said that again. Everybody would start laughing because they've already connected with the characters as I've introduced them, right?
Yeah.
It was magical. It was literally poetry in motion. I don't know. I was so satisfied.
Yeah. The highest theater is like a ritual or like a rite, you know?
Yes. Like
definitely magical.
It was better than comedy for me, because comedy, I got to stick to a specific script. I got to keep the jokes coming. I didn't have to do that. Like, it was just literally myself.
What's her name? Hannah Gadsby talks about, like, sort of like in comedy, you always have to have a punchline. And so then it interferes with certain aspects of storytelling. Sometimes, like, the truth of it isn't, it's something else, and you don't want to, like,
you don't want to minimize it by trying to make it funny type thing, right? Like, not everything deserves a punchline, but it was just I just got to get it all out, and I was really happy. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna probably try to do it again, because
I want to see this.
It went really well. I would love for you to come out to if I do it again.
Amazing. I think we're gonna wrap it up.
Sure.
Can I ask you, are you promoting anything right now? You're Anthony Engelbrecht.
Yes, I am.
You're not on socials, but we're trying to get you back on.
You know I'm not on socials. You tried adding me or something?
I tried adding you, and I'm talking to people about it. Like, why isn't Anthony on social, and how do we get him here?
It'll be hard pressed.
But okay, so where can we find you to watch you do comedy?
Well, tomorrow I'm at Newbie Show. Just, you know what? If you are on socials, just tell me where we know each other from, and then I'll add you.
Okay.
But I don't want to add.
Private for now.
I'm private for now. But if I know you, tell me where. Because I will. If I see somebody say something, I will say, hey, how do we know each other? And if the answer is good enough, I'll add you.
And Google Anthony Engelbrecht and see if he's got any shows at the moment.
Tomorrow is July 28th, so I'm going to be doing the Nubian show that's downtown Toronto, 244.
This won't air by then, but
okay.
We're a week or two out. But do you do the Nubian show regularly?
I haven't for a while. Kenny was mad at me for a little bit. I pissed him off.
Okay.
Which makes me sad, because he's awesome. So
I love Kenny.
You've met Kenny?
Yeah, he judged a newcomer comedy show that I was in, and then I've seen him around. He's done.
I used to be intimidated by him. I was gonna say scared, but scared's not the right word. He just, especially when I first started comedy, he had a larger than life persona to me, and he was very like, who the fuck are you to me? Like, you know, to everybody who, if you're not anybody that he should know, his whole demeanor was like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Like, why are you talking to me?
He can be intense. And he teaches a comedy class that some of my friends are in. So he's very much like an elder statesman of, like, Toronto comedy.
That guy has done so much for, especially the black comedy scene. That guy's a staple, bro. He's like, all respect to Kenny Robinson, man. He's always looking out for the comics too. There's been many times that he's hit me up on the low. He's like, bro, there's this thing going on. I think you'd be really good at it. I think you should apply, or, you know. So even the fact that he would take the time to think about me, or even like stuff like that, like, Kenny, if you're listening, brother, I love you, man. You're the guy, bro.
Okay. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being on, Anthony.
Thanks for having me.